Previously on Flowers for Zoe, Stories for Dennis.
But it's not until you're sick where you're like, holy shit, I'm fucked. Like, I need help. Like, what do I do? And then you don't feel like talking because you're sick, But then when you're using, you don't feel like talking because you feel fine and you're using. So when is there time to talk about it?
And now, coming up on the show.
So today we're going to walk through the cost-benefit analysis, and it's going to let us look at the good reasons for not using, but also the good reasons for using.
On today's podcast, Lara walks us through a short exercise called the cost-benefit analysis in order to highlight the good reasons people are using opioids like fentanyl. Bring a paper and pen. It gets exciting. If you find anything on today's episode activating, please reach out and talk to somebody. If you find the discussion helpful, share the link with others. Hello, everybody. Welcome to podcast number 21.
Hi.
Good afternoon, everybody.
We're going to do an exercise on today's show called the cost-benefit analysis activity.
Over time, we've had a lot of conversations and we've talked about the challenges of falling into black and white thinking, right? Like seeing things as either all good or all bad. And when it comes to addictive behavior with substances, it means that you're either sober or you're off the wagon. You're either doing it or you're not, or you're in recovery or relapse. And this can invite a lot of discouragement and a lot of shame. So today we're going to walk through the cost-benefit analysis, and it's going to let us look at the good reasons for not using, but also the good reasons for using and the cost to not using. And so while this can sound really confusing or it maybe feels like we're going backwards, it's actually a really important place to start. Problematic substances are usually an attempt to help a problem. In other words, the behavior of using is often in connection to something that rewards us. And that may be like pleasure, it could be coping, it could be helping with reducing pain. So whatever it is, we identify and better understand our good reasons for using when we can connect to what these reasons are and then begin to explore the costs of using or engaging in this behavior. This is when we get to be a little bit more open and honest with ourselves. And it helps us and it invites us to think about, okay, what if anything might I need to help with some of the underlying things that I struggle with sometimes that may be the good reasons for why I've used substances. And you can do this activity with just about any behavior that you want to have a little bit of a deeper exploration of.
I like that.
Me too.
Okay. So we'll do it all together. Let's pick a substance to try this out with.
I'm a smoker. I'm also an eater. We could do food.
I'm a smoker.
Okay, let's do smoking. Okay. So here's what you do. On a piece of paper, you're going to draw a great big square, and you're going to divide the square into 4 little squares.
Okay.
So we're going to have 4 squares, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom.
All right.
And the 2 boxes at the top are going to be about smoking, the behavior of smoking. And the 2 squares at the bottom are going to be not smoking.
Okay, so smoking, not smoking.
So up at the top, where you have smoking, the first box on the left are going to be the good reasons to smoke. Okay.
How many do we need?
Well, let's just throw out a few things. What are the good reasons to smoke?
It's a stress reliever.
Yep.
See, that's what I find fascinating. I agree. It's a stress reliever. Why
Okay.
is it a stress reliever though?
Let's not even go there yet.
Yeah,
Let's just
okay.
name the good reasons. So, smoking is a stress reliever. This is why many people smoke. It
It
helps as a stress reliever. What else?
it distracts me,
Okay.
so it gets my mind off the stressors.
Mhm.
Distraction.
What else? What are the advantages? What do you get from it? How does it help?
Something to do. It cures boredom in a sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Helps with boredom.
Makes it easy to meet new people.
Social.
Yeah.
Socializing.
Yep.
Can you say it's a anxiety reliever?
Yeah. It helps people with anxiety, I would think.
I always do that. As soon as I walk into a group of people, I'm going for a cigarette within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
reason to get out of the room. It's a perfect reason to get out of a room. I'll go have a cigarette. I'll be right back.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we got down.
Awesome. We can keep adding to it, but let's keep moving on. So, next to that, the box on the right are going to be the costs or the not so good reasons to smoke.
Bad breath, yellow teeth,
Mhm.
Bad lungs,
yellow teeth,
COPD,
COPD,
cancer,
the big C word, yellow fingers, you stink,
low energy,
you can't taste food the way you should. It changes your taste buds. Low energy. What was the other one?
stinky all over.
Yeah, your clothes smell. You can always tell when somebody's a smoker, always. And it's just bad all over, bad for your health.
God, yeah.
What
And
else?
it also it speeds up aging.
Yeah, it takes 13 years off the average life. Wrinkles,
It's bad for the environment, it's bad for the people around you. Bad for environment. And then also for people around you. Wow, this list is a lot longer than the fucking pro.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay, so we've probably filled that box. There's lots
Yeah.
there. Okay, so now we're going to move down to the bottom, and you've got 2 boxes on the bottom. And this is the area called not smoking. So in the bottom left side, what are the benefits to not smoking then?
Health. Being
Okay.
healthy.
not running out of breath so much.
Mhm. Energy. Taste buds come back.
The bad breath goes away.
Yeah. Exercise. You're able to exercise again, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's a
that
good
goes
one.
along with breathing. More money.
Yeah, the savings.
Savings. That's yeah, savings.
Okay. Let's go to the last box. So that's the bottom right side under the category of not smoking. And this one's a bit tricky because this is like, what are the disadvantages?
So, what are the good reasons for not smoking?
Like, what's the costs of not
Oh,
smoking?
no. What are the costs? Right.
Yeah.
What are the
Like
costs?
if you can't smoke anymore, let's say you decide, oh man, look at all these things, all these good reasons to quit. Okay, I'm going to quit. What would be hard about that? Like Daniel, when you talked about like, oh, as soon as I'm in a social situation, within 5 minutes, I've got an out.
Yeah.
So let's say you didn't have smoking anymore. So you'd have to find a different exit.
Yeah.
right? Because maybe for so
So a lot
long,
of the cons about not smoking kind of interfere with the pros of smoking. The distraction, right? And then you have that stress reliever. So the con of it is not having that stress reliever. You know, smoking helps you socialize, which is a pro when you smoke, but then it's a con when you don't smoke, because what else do you use to socialize if you're not a socialized
Yeah.
person like that? So it kind of interferes with the pros of smoking,
mhm,
the cons of not smoking, kind of,
yeah.
you know?
So you can begin to see how powerful this can be, because if we only think about things in a black and white, good or bad kind of way, then we don't really invite ourselves to talk about, okay, so what are the cons to not having this substance anymore? And what are my really good reasons for using this substance? Because unless we can talk about that, that tends to be the real key, right? Because we all know the good reasons not to. It's
Mm-hmm.
all over the place. People tell us all the time. It's in health studies, right? But when it comes to working with the behavior of addiction, we have to know what our good reasons are, because it's those good reasons that are going to keep us kind of coming back, right? Until we can identify, okay, what are they? And what am I going to do about those things?
Right. Like boredom. So if I were to quit smoking, I would be bored quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You start fidgeting, you start looking around for something to do.
But that's what I mean. See, it literally falls back into the pros of smoking. The same reasons why people like the cons about not smoking are the exact same pros about smoking. They're just opposite.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at the list and it's the exact same list, but for different direction, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
The boredom, the anxiety, the socializing, you know, the distraction, the stress reliever. So it's all the exact same things. Just,
The opposite.
yeah.
So I guess the goal would be to come up with alternatives.
Yeah,
So
it's part of it.
part of
It's
it.
also it's also part of it is also identifying, okay, what am I going to miss about not smoking? What am I going to miss about it? Am I going to miss anything about it? Is there some grief around that? Is it going to make it hard for me to connect with people or to go into social situations? Am I going to miss having this option in my life?
Mm-hmm.
That's a piece to wrestle with a little bit.
Yeah.
In other words, do all these other reasons sort of, do they take over? Are they bigger? Are your reasons to not use going to be bigger than your reasons to use?
So I mean, in this case with smoking, the reasoning is like so clear. Like logically, you choose not to smoke because the pros and cons are just so in favor of not smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But why do I still smoke?
Yeah, good
That's the
question, right?
question.
And maybe those reasons are, do you feel like you've unpacked them in any of this cost benefit analysis? Like, let's go back to what
I
those good
actually
reasons
think I
are.
did. The good reasons, an exit out of an uncomfortable situation,
Mm-hmm.
boredom, stress reliever. I got solutions for all those already without smoking.
Mm-hmm. So
You
what
know,
makes it hard then?
I don't know. I haven't tried to quit in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't thought about quitting in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see the next time I think about quitting, I could see how it's going to be a bit easier now because all those reasons why I smoke, I have alternatives.
Yeah, so this kind of activity, the more you can fill in and you can continue to add to it, you can continue to, when you notice, oh, here's another thing I can add, it can just begin to give us a lot more insight around our behavior and what using this substance or what engaging in this behavior does for us. So it's not just about scaring yourself into like, oh, how's it harming me? But it might be to be like, okay, what would my life be like without this substance? How would it be different? What would I have to cope with instead? How would I have to, manage things that activate me differently? And
Yeah.
what would that look like? So the whole point is to, rather than think about things in a this or that, it's to kind of open it up a little bit to say, you know, when I do engage in this behavior, here's why. This is what it's serving. This is what it's doing
Mhm.
to help me in some way. And if I am going to not engage in that anymore, what am I going to do instead?
Right.
Right? That becomes a big piece to how we can be successful with changing a behavior.
Okay.
So that's the cost benefit analysis.
I
Mm.
like it.
Me too.
Hey everyone, if you followed along today and you would like to do this activity for yourself, here are some additional tips. For starters, make it personal. This is an activity to do for yourself, not for someone else. Today, we selected the topic of smoking rather than the topic of using fentanyl, and we did this quite intentionally. Sometimes it's easier to start an activity with something that is not your most challenging thing. If you do choose a behavior that's an activating one for you, that's fine, but take some pressure off and give yourself permission to just let it be an exercise. It doesn't mean you have to commit to anything right away. Now, the next thing you do is you allow yourself to fill in all the areas without overthinking or judging them. Just write them all down. Once your lists are complete and you have a look at your answers, if you notice things like, this is how I cope, then write more down and try to be specific in writing down how that behavior, like how it specifically helps you cope. So for an example, Daniel described smoking gives him an out in social situations, a way out of the room. If he wants to be more specific, he might say, the behavior of smoking helps me avoid situations that feel stressful. If he wants to challenge his thinking about this, he might say, does smoking actually help me avoid stress? He might take it a step further by saying, what else can I do to kind of push through or manage stress in these short moments? This is how a cost-benefit analysis can become a bit of a working document to help you explore what's behind a behavior. You can find lots of these templates online. Till next time.